If you're just starting out on your crochet journey, knowing how to make the slip knot is the first step to creating any project in crochet. In this video, I'll walk you through 5 easy methods to make the slip knot. What is the slip knot, you're asking? Well, it's the first thing that you make before you even start any of your crochet items. It basically helps to anchor your yarn to the hook so that your yarn doesn't unravel while you're working. There are various techniques for making the slip knot. You might find that some are better for you, and that is totally fine. Everybody does it slightly differently, so in the end it is a matter of your preference. So let's get started. Method number 1 is called the X method. This is the method that I learned when I first started to crochet, and it actually still is the technique that I like to use. To make a slip knot with this method, take the tail end of your yarn, pointing down, and wrap it around your middle and index finger. You then turn your end and you create a X. You can then use your pinky to hold the yarn. Now you're gonna take your hook, you're gonna go underneath the first loop on your right and above the second loop. You then grab it with your hook, pull it through, and you can turn while releasing your fingers. You then pick both ends of the yarn and then you pull in the opposite direction. You're gonna make this knot, and with the long tail of the yarn connected to your ball, if you pull, the yarn close towards the hook. Method number 2, the X method, but using your hands. So this second method is very similar to the previous one, as the process is pretty much the same. The only difference is that you will create your slip knot with your fingers rather than with the help of your hook. Take the tail end of your yarn, pointing down, and you wrap it around your index, middle finger. You turn your ends and you create a X. This time, instead of taking the hook, we're gonna use our fingers, so we're gonna go underneath the first one and grab the second loop of the yarn. We then pull in opposite directions, and we just created our loop. We insert then the hook, and then we pull the back tail of the yarn to tighten our knot. Method number 3, the Pretzel Method. This technique is a great option for somebody who's struggling with yarn tension, as it will be done by laying the yarn on a flat surface without wrapping it around your hands and fingers. Lay your yarn on a flat surface with the tail pointing on your right. Then you take the tail, you create a big loop facing backwards with the tail end above the tail body behind. Now that you created this loop, you take the tail end and you bring it backwards on top of the loop that you just created. You sort of create this pretzel shape. You now insert your fingers in the middle and you grab this piece of yarn, and with your left hand you pick the tail end and the tail going back to the yarn ball, and then you pull in opposite directions. You now created this loop, you just insert your hook, pull in the opposite direction to tighten the knot. Method number 4, the 2 loops method. I have to be honest, this version is my least favorite. I find it a little bit gimmicky and it doesn't come naturally to me, but I'm sure that some of you might find it more comfortable than other techniques. To make the slip knot with this method, you want to take the tail end and wrap it around your finger away from you. Pinch it with your thumb, and then you take the back end of the tail. You're gonna wrap it in front of the yarn and then again around your finger. Pinch it again with your thumbs. You then are going to pick the second loop of your yarn and pull it above and away from your finger. And then you just created your knot. You're gonna insert your hook, pull the end, and you're gonna tighten your knot. Method number 5, the hook flip method. This funnel method is probably the quickest and also the most skilled way to make a slip knot. Everything, you know, is done straight with your hook. To make the slip knot with this method, you're gonna take your yarn and you're gonna hold it vertically like this. Take your hook and hold it underneath the yarn, then point it facing down, and while you do it, you wrap the yarn and then facing up. Your hook needs to be on the right side of your yarn. I then release it a little so I can pinch again where the yarn crosses. It makes it easier, so then I can grab the yarn and pull it through the loop, and then pull the yarn tight to make a slip knot. You've now learned 5 different ways to make a slip knot in crochet. Which is your favorite? Remember, practice makes perfect, so don't be afraid to experiment with different methods until you find the one that works best for you. I hope you find this useful. Leave me a like and subscribe to my channel to keep up to date with stitches tutorials and to improve your crochet skills. It would mean so much to me. Ciao!